Hello, YouTube. Well, many of you have noticed that I'm sort of going through a revolver stage these days, and I sure as hell am not getting rid of any of my semi-automatics. Turns out these guns do two very different things. The question is, which one's the right one for you to carry? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Dr. Tactical, and the doctor will see you now. Welcome back to the channel. Those of you who are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy what you see, and if you do, please hit the like button. And if you really enjoy it, subscribe, become part of the family. Those of you who are back again and have been viewing the channel but haven't had the opportunity to subscribe, take advantage of it now. Hit that button. Also hit the notification bell. That way you'll be made aware as new videos are released. In theory, turns out YouTube isn't all that diligent with gun channels for that. However, we also have a Facebook page. If you go on and friend or like the Dr. Tactical Facebook page, I always put the videos up as soon as I let them out. I go right to there and post them as well. So that'll let you know from another route. Okay, so you may be noticing I've got some cool attire on today. Some new holsters. As I've mentioned before, I'm in the process of working on a mini-series on holsters, and specifically for concealed carry. And I am having a great time doing it. A lot of great holster companies have stepped up to the plate and contributed to this, and I'm living in them and trying different things out. And that's all I'm going to say on it for right now, though I will say currently I'm going through a leather phase, as you can tell. And this actually is a Falco setup I have here. But hey, you can do things with leather that are kind of cool, like that and that. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the holster stuff. I'm building on that. This is a teaser. Today's topic is, what is the appropriate gun for you to carry? And by you, I really mean me, because I'm thinking about my day-to-day life, because I have been carrying since 2015, and I want to say I've evolved, but I've gone circles with what I carry, and that goes for holsters as well as the guns themselves. But as a lot of you know, I'm currently going through a revolver phase, although I'm sure as hell not getting rid of any of my semis, as I've said before. So you're carrying a gun for self-protection. So, like all tools, there's a tool that does a lot of jobs. There's tools that do specific jobs but do it better. And then tools that you try to make work for other jobs that really don't do such a good job. And the question is, what's the job? That way you can pick the tool. And that's really what I want to talk about. Because when I look at something like let's look at a semi-auto here. So here we've got the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. So the CZ Shadow 2 Compact is a nice compact concealed carry gun. I happen to love this gun. This is what I call a shooter's gun. Now, conversely, I have here my Kimber K6 XS. Little snub nose revolver. This is a 38 Special Plus P+. And this I call a fighter's gun. Why? What are we talking about? So the right tool for the right job. How do we figure out what we're dealing with, what the job is? Okay, well, let's try and use statistics, except for one problem with statistics. The statistics that are available to us are bullshit. And that goes for both sides of this. They're so politically charged that you really can't make heads or tails of them. But for argument's sake, let's use the most famous FBI statistics that I know everybody's familiar with, which is the rule of threes, which is that most private citizens that are involved in a self-defense gun situation takes place at an average distance of 3 feet, an average number of 3 shots are fired, And the average time frame is approximately 3 seconds. That's the rule of threes. Okay, I took that to heart. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to prepare for. Here's the thing. If you really go by statistics, the statistics that you are going to get in a gunfight at all are so slim. I mean, assuming I'm talking about the average person. I'm putting myself in there. When I say you, again, I'm talking about me. I know some people live in a much more dangerous environment or work in a more dangerous environment and come into areas. But overall, I consider myself sort of the average citizen. And the likelihood that I'm actually going to need a firearm are nil. And the reason I carry a firearm is it makes me feel better knowing that I have it. Because I would hate for a situation to come up and be like, oh, you know what? I could have saved everybody. I could have changed everything, if only. Knowing that I just did my part, I feel better carrying. But the likelihood of me actually needing to shoot, thank God, is really close to zero, I believe. And it's kind of like a fire extinguisher. You know, you don't really want to use it. You don't hope to ever use it. And the chances are you won't need it. But good idea to have. So we as gun carriers have already thrown the statistics out the window, because if we're going to go by statistics, we're not going to carry a gun to begin with. But anyway, rule of threes. So we go by the rule of threes, and then along comes Elijah Dickens, or Eli Dickens. You know, here's a guy who's at a mall in I think Indiana, with his girlfriend, just at the food court, and some asshole, you know, decides this is his opportunity to start a mass shooting. And thank God Eli's there. He's carrying a Glock 19. And, you know, he, got my statistics down here. So he fires from 40 yards. Now he leans against a pillar, I believe, to stabilize himself. He fires 10 shots, gets 8 hits in about 15 seconds. So he's using a Glock 19. So, you know, there goes your 3 second, and there goes your 3 shot, and there goes your 3 foot situation all out the window. And we live in a day and age where being in a movie theater, being in a public situation, that's a real possibility. Now, as for the legalities of it, you know, that's something to be dealt with, I guess, otherwise. But at the end of the day, you know, he saved lives. And his life was in danger because he was at a public place and some guy's shooting, and to the best we could tell, shooting randomly. So now I'm thinking, shooter. I'm going to be a shooter. So that's the gun I want. I want to have a gun that's going to be. I mean, this gun is basically built. It's not basically. This is designed off of my Shadow 2. Like my Shadow 2 Orange, which is my competition, one of my competition guns. That's a highly accurate gun. If I were in, God forbid, a situation like Eli, this is the gun I would want to have. This is a really rapid firing, perfect trigger, very accurate handgun for that situation. I would feel very comfortable at 40 yards shooting this gun. So now this is the gun I'm going to carry. Now I'm feeling good. Okay, now I'm watching YouTube, and I come across this channel called Active Self-Protection. And there's the host is John Correa. And he shows a situation. It's a very interesting situation. So it's a off-duty police officer who had just arrested some guy a day or two before for some event. And the guy was already out and actually getting ready to commit another crime when he happened to see the off-duty policeman and decided, hey, I'm going to go kick his ass. And he and a friend really go after this policeman and are putting this guy's life in harm's way. Now, again, another story with a Glock 19. I believe it looked like a Glock 19. I'm going to assume that's what it was. But nonetheless, it was a shooter type of gun. We're talking about a semi-automatic here. So the police officer was in a very compromised position and was able to shoot his assailant while being kicked in the face by his friend and being beaten by the assailant himself he was able to, at an awkward angle, shoot up into the taint of the assailant. I think we can all agree, very successful way to stop an attack. Anyway, nonetheless, what happened after that shot was fired was interesting. First of all, John Correa makes a comment. Now, my training is limited. I'm a civilian. I love training. I enjoy it. But there's people out there that are far better trained than I am. And he was talking about the importance of keeping short arms and keeping the gun in. Well, the problem is when you've got a gun like this with a slide, you can only keep it so in. The other thing is what this police officer, this off-duty police officer did by angling the gun and shooting up, there was no way for him to really properly support the gun. So after his first shot, he essentially had a limp wrist. So one of the benefits of a shooter's gun is this bad boy's got 15 rounds in it. So capacity is king. You can shoot as many times as you want. Well, the problem is if you can't properly hold that gun and you can't help it reciprocate to load that next round, you're basically limp wristing it. So what happens is you get one, this is a one-shot gun. Now, luckily for him, his shot was in a really key area. And apparently his partner was just so grossed out by the whole thing, he turned and ran and didn't stick around. But had he decided that he was going to help his friend further, this police officer would have been really in very serious trouble because he didn't get a second shot and wouldn't have gotten a second shot out of that gun. So that is a situation where a fighter's gun comes into play. And that is where the revolver comes in. So here I have 6 shots. So 15 shots in my shooter gun and 6 shots in my fighter gun. The difference is I can get all 6 of these shots off almost every possible time. It's a very rare event that somebody would be able to stop this. They'd have to grab the cylinder. They'd have to really get on here. Again, another thing that everybody knows about, when you take a semi-auto and you press it up against something, you can knock it out of battery. So in close contact, in a fighting situation, when somebody's on you, if you push this back, that hammer, when it comes down, or that firing pin, when it's released, it isn't going to hit the primer. You're not going to fire. That's a problem. With the fighter gun, you can beat the crap out of somebody with this thing and push it up against them and pull the trigger as many times as you want. Now, it's only going to go off 6, but you can keep pulling if you want. So, are you a shooter or are you a fighter? So these are things I'm still grappling with right now. There's more coming up on this soon because I have more opinions on this, but let's marinate for now. I'm Dr. Tactical. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Dr. Tactical, out.